Welcome everybody to what is week 5 of your Razer Academy videos, where we will learn Dota step by step, bit by bit, inch by inch. Myself, Toby1, going to take you through, well, what is going to be tri-lanes this week around. We do have something special planned for you next week, because as I said last week, I will be away next week, but I will have a special video planned for you guys, so you can go, ooh, amazing. Alright, let's jump ourselves into today. Like always, before we start off any of these Learn Dota sessions, we go through the questions which you guys ask in the comment section below. So if you want to do that right now, if you have a question which you want to ask about any of the content which happens as you watch it, please ask it in the comment section below, and I'll try and answer it in the next week, or in this case, in 2 weeks' time, I'll answer your question. So we won't have question time next week, but do not fear. Alright, so today I want to focus on tri-lanes, as well as doing a couple of other things that are requested by the user. So it all kind of interweaves into everything. Like whenever you look at Dota 2, like you kind of know that everything interacts with everything. So you do one thing, it's going to affect another. That's just the way the world of Dota works. So let's go through bit by bit, and we'll try and answer as many questions as we possibly can about tri-lanes from the perspective of the tri-laner, as well as the way jungles and runes also interact with this. And if we have time, we're going to jump into some starting items as well, and we'll have a chat about that. But what I want to do first is a couple of questions which came out from the chat. So the first one, and probably the most common, commented question, is why do I always look so tired? Obviously, this is completely off topic of anything Dota, but it also is rather on topic at the same time. If you play Dota non-stop, you will get this tired. If you commentate Dota non-stop while playing Dota non-stop, then you will get this tired. It's just what happens, guys. You don't really sleep much when you love and live the game as much as I do. So, yeah. Back when I was actually in Australia, I was working 40 hours a week, and then come home and then broadcast for about 8 hours at night time, maybe get about 4 hours sleep, and then get up, go to work, and then come home, maybe crash, and then do it all over again. It's just one of these things where I didn't sleep for about 4 years. So it's going to take some time for my body to catch up. And just probably a bit more on the personal side of the reason why also my skin doesn't look amazing on camera is also because I actually had severe acne as a child, and I don't know if anybody knows what this is called. Obviously, Google is your friend if you want to find out. But I was on a drug called Roaccutane, which basically dries out your skin to the point where no oil is created, and it actually stops pimples. So if all those guys out there who are watching who have insane cases of bad acne, believe me, I have been there. It is not a fun place to be at, but after 2 years of a horrid drug and very uncomfortable life, my skin is finally actually generally pimple-free, but it has a downside. For about 10 years, your skin has to recover, so it's a catch-22 for what you want to do. So yeah, my skin doesn't recover too well when I don't get a lot of sleep, but on the bright side, my brain keeps working, so who gives a crap? As long as the voice functions, as long as I can see Dota, my life is good. Second comment was actually, and this was actually asked before, and I couldn't remember if I actually answered it in a week video before, but yeah. Comments on the Tidehunter from here. Now, obviously, we do have different hats for Tidehunter, as does the Razer logos. No, hang on, I've just moved him into the Razer logo. This is actually Tidehunter. Some people said he's actually a stilled image on the screen. I think I addressed this on a live stream I was doing the other night. But he's actually not a still image. He's actually a model which is created by it's actually just set glue is the way they did it. And then they painted him and just added in a couple of little extra teeth and little other things like that. But it was actually created at Valve. Moritz Zimmerman, known to the world as Mooseman, who is the project manager of Join Dota. He is the guy who traveled to Valve before the last international as basically a relations kind of guy. And through him, he was there, and Eul, the guy who first created the world of Dota in Warcraft 3, gave him this. So that is where Tidehunter actually comes from. I don't know if I'm going to have somebody new in a week's time. Who knows? I can pray. But yeah, we will find out if that is actually the case. But Tidehunter has always been now kind of a little bit of a mascot of Join Dota. So he stays on the live stream for every single thing we do. Okay, now we're going to go on to a question which, well, yeah. I'm going to do this one first. I actually had another one I probably should have done first, but who cares? It's order. It's just the way it runs. So the question was, why is Batrider not used as a solo top? Because last week I went through heroes like Beastmaster, Broodmother, and just these heroes who can go on a top lane solo, Windrunner included as well. Lovely, Ranger. Awesome. But the main thing which we were talking about in that was just playing as a side lane solo, and why is Batrider not working for that one? It's difficult to use as a side lane solo. Yes, he has Firefly, he can escape out pretty easily if he's sprouted up and things like that, but Batrider kind of just doesn't find his way into the initiation side of things because he is pretty farm dependent, so if he gets a good start, he's pretty awesome. But it's like trying to run a tiny top solo. Sure, it's range versus melee, but if both heroes require money, items to get a good start, and then can influence the game. But there's other heroes out there who don't require as much money early on, have a better escape mechanism, and those kind of things just make you lean towards going away from Batrider. There's also a small difference in Dota 2. In Dota 1, if you Firefly with Batrider, Cruciman will come through and frostbite you, and that will cancel your Firefly. That wouldn't cancel your Firefly in Dota 1, and that's the reason why Chinese use Batrider for that. But in Dota 2, it does stop you. You will be frostbitten. It doesn't cancel it, sorry, it just stops you. And basically that means there's your escape mechanism gone. CM, who is a great support hero, which a lot of people play, I can escape from that one. No, wait, hang on, that doesn't work anymore. So it's the reason why Batrider is kind of like phased out of running as that side lane hero. You can use him pretty well though, like you have the Napalm stack, it really slows down anybody if you're up against melee heroes. Even range heroes just trying to get in range or trying to run away from you. The magical 4 stack, once you get 4 stacks, head off the Firefly, and you generally guaranteed a kill. It's a great way of setting up before your support heroes coming to gank as well. So it does work, but just not in the current world of Dota 2. There's better heroes that can do it for less. So while that's the case, why spend the extra money on a hero who not going to get it? And yeah, you should understand what I mean. If you don't, then, well, welcome to my brain. I don't even understand what I say some of the times. Let's go on to another question. Now, this one came from a guy called Mad Kippy. Big shout out to him as well. I think he's been commenting since the very, very first video. So hello to Mad Kippy. What he was actually asking about is what actually makes a pro. And it wasn't really an exact question. It was more of a statement he was making about, well, what is a pro? If you're always watching it, like you can know about this stuff, but as a commentator myself, should I be able to play at the same level as every pro? Is that worthwhile having that out of your commentator? Or is it not? Like sometimes maybe I don't have enough time to play. Is that supposed to be a factor, or am I supposed to have that skill level? Are you supposed to have that skill level as well? Like, if are you a viewer? Are you a player? Are you a pro? Where do you find yourself? And who do you really want to be hearing this from? And that's why, like, there's been a bit of discussion about, like, learning Dota from myself. For those guys out there who are sitting going, oh, I seriously want to learn all the intricate detail strats about all the pro players out there, I might be able to glean a little bit on top of that, but that's not where I'm from. That's not what I do. What I do is I watch a crap load of pros, and I will pick up things, same as you guys who watch it. You'll pick up things, but sometimes people will focus on different areas. For them, the exact meta game is the important thing, or the way you move your hero, and the timing for everything is your thing. All these little differences, like game mechanics might be your thing, and if you've got to get that 100% right, then it's like, hell yes, this means I am a pro at Dota, I can play at Dota, and I can talk about Dota to the community. And everyone's going to have these little bit of things, but what I try and do here is the basic level. For those people who are coming from League of Legends, people who started off in Heroes of New Earth and want to know the subtle differences in Dota 2, or people who have never even heard of Dota beforehand or are trying to learn it, that's what I'm trying to be here. So when you watch the live stream, you can go, I understand why Toby is talking about that. I understand what that hero is actually doing, and maybe their ability as well. And then I can also learn something as the broadcast goes. Dota isn't one of these games where you can go, 100%, no, not a problem. Sweet, awesome, great. Next game, I need something else, please, something else. Yeah. Not the way Dota functions. That's the reason why Dota is actually addictive without having to buy up heroes or having a unlocking ranking system, things like that. Having your PSR being up in the 1900s, or whatever the ELO ranking is. I don't know the LoL rankings. All I know is ELO is a word. It's just, it's not the thing that excites Dota, because Dota is this this ever-changing kind of thing. With every patch log, there's something which changes around, and then that will change the way Dota is functioned. So you can never 100% know the world of Dota. And because of this as well, you never really know what you're going to get when you're watching Dota. And that's kind of like a cool, funky little thing, because every single time if you log in and say, yep, I 100% know he's going to go this build, and sometimes you might, because that'll be the current metagame. And then there'll be another team that will come in, and they'll run Storm Spirit Jungle. Or they'll do something random. Is that a VS Veno lane? What the hell are you talking about? That kind of stuff should never be played. But then again, it works, and people find it. Dota is a game of trends. It is not a game which you can go 100%, this should be the lineup you play because this is the current strongest lineup. Never going to be the case. The different combinations you can achieve, the different unusual combinations you can achieve which your opposition is not expecting, and then the different build orders for those combinations, the different roles that these heroes can play, be it support, be it semi-carry, be it hard carry, be it just a pure utility hero. All these kind of things can change and morph and modify week to week depending on the trend of Dota. And what sets the trend of Dota is generally the professional games. So when you see a top team play a certain combination and you go, that's really awesome, I want to play like them. I want to try that combination out for myself. And then it floods down into the public scene. And all the public scene then starts going, hey, sweet, now I can play this as well. And, oh, wait, this doesn't really work in the public scene, but I still want to play it anyway. And that's fair enough. Like, you want to try and do what the pros are doing, because the pros will give you the different ideas, the different concepts, and they always have secret hidden strats. We had Puppy on the live stream the other night, I think it was actually almost 2 weeks ago now. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. And he was talking about a strat which EG tried, and it was a Tinker push, basically. Tinker and Leshrac. Now, Tinker's March of the Machines, you have recharge on that, and you can push so hard with 2 sets of March of the Machines. If you have it leveled up very, very early, you actually cannot stand in it to defend your base when you have a level 4 March of the Machines. Not early on. So they had that combo with Leshrac pushing with his level 4 Edict, and you could destroy towers so fast. And in the end, Na'Vi, it was Na'Vi versus EG that game, and Na'Vi managed to find enough openings, there was enough damage done by the push. But just to use that combo, is things like that which you will generally see when you go to LAN events. Because teams will think these strats up and go, this is actually going to work, and it's what's called a pocket strat. Before you go in, you know all 5 heroes you want, and you know what heroes you have to ban out because those heroes will counter your strat directly. So because of that, you go, right, I know what I've got to do, let's go and do it. It worked, fantastic. They weren't expecting it, we win a game which we would have never have won. And the reason is because you take the opposition by surprise. It's a strat that nobody would have thought of, and, well, welcome to your fun little world of nobody ever really knows 100% of Dota. But you can always try new things, and you can always try and learn with everybody else. Let's jump actually into, I'm going to create my lobby very, very quickly. I think I have it all done up so correctly, and you can start up, you're hearing the sounds in the background. Because I'm going to talk about tri lanes in a moment, but what I want to talk about is actually going to be first runes as well as the jungle. The tri-lane is the last thing that I want to say, so let's actually click that little button, jump ourselves inside the game, and I want to just grab, who do we want? Who do we want? I'm always a big fan of Dro Ranger. Where's Dro Ranger? There we go, Dro Ranger. Not a hero you do this with, but it can work. Alright, so what I want to talk about first is runes. This will just give us time for the creep waves to spawn up. Alright, so there's 2 locations that runes will spawn for you. Runes will spawn on the top, just in this little area. You see the little glowing area right here. It's faded out a little bit, but there's this spot right here if you're looking at the minimap, and then also down on the bottom. So these are the 2 locations that the runes will spawn. You'll also notice right next to the rune spots is little eyes. So these little eyes which are marked onto the stone, that's actually set there by Valve, so that they have them in different little areas. And if you put a ward up there, you'll be able to see the rune. It's just basically a guide of, like a little hint of where you should put an observer ward. So if you want to try and use those, go completely nuts. Now these runes will spawn on 0 minutes. That's the first rune. It's the same with the creep wave. The creep wave will spawn at 0 minutes. And then from that point, it will spawn every 2 minutes. The runes have been changed up recently too, so the same rune won't spawn twice in a row. I'm pretty sure that those changes have been modified into Dota 2. It could possibly be that it's actually still stuck in the Dota 1 changelog. But originally you could have like 4 Invids runes in a row, 4 DD runes in a row. But that's actually not possible anymore. They changed it around. But definitely check the chat, the changelog to find out about all of that kind of stuff. All right, so there's the 0-minute mark. Now I've talked about where the runes are going to spawn. I want to show very, very quickly what's basically creep pulling. Creeps won't spawn. So with 0 minutes, this camp is not spawned. So you're like, oh, well, this is kind of crap. I can't farm straight off the cuff. I need to wait about 30 seconds before the creep camps will spawn. Creep camps will spawn on the 30-second mark, and then on every minute after that point. So 30 seconds, then 1 minute, 2 minute, 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute, 6 minute, and so on, and so forth, until the very, very end of time. This is the same for ancient camps, as well as for, this is the ancient camps, by the way, these little guys here, as well as the neutral. So you notice all the little triangles just appeared, and that is because if we ever walk down here, creep camp spawned. You'll also notice I was sitting here and I had a small amount of vision of these creeps, of the neutrals.
So be it.
But the creep camp still spawned. And this is something which was brought up the other day. And also, actually, you should get the timing right. So 53 seconds is what you generally do when you want to pull this camp. Easiest way of doing it. And the creep camp will pull up. Now you notice I'm pulling this creep camp up. I can still see down there if I want to. And I can walk back down here and I'll still see that new creep camp spawn. Now this is boundaries of a creep camp. Now, no, don't attack. Oh, crap. Okay, now I'm just taking aggro back to the tower. Fantastic. And looks like the middle lane's pushed through as well. Everything's going wrong with the Radiant tonight. I even managed to pull one of the creeps off the side. Okay, let's not do that. Okay, now after that has settled down, and for some reason the game decided I should level up after that point, you notice I got a double stack. So you can do this. How you do this is by pulling the creeps out of the region where they basically block the camp. I said last week, and I was actually incorrect in saying this last week, if you have vision of a camp, then the creep camp won't spawn. That is incorrect. If you are in a region, which for this camp is about this, if you are in that region, then this creep camp won't spawn. So if there is a presence in there, it can be warding, it can be a person, it can be one of your controlled neutrals, anything like that will stop this creep camp from spawning. You notice right now we just clocked over the 2-minute mark, and there's still two sets of creeps. And because of this, you're going, well, okay, maybe I should keep on pulling. Do I keep stacking it up? It's a good way of denying of creep waves. Not a bad way of doing it. In fact, let's actually do that right now. So we're going to head down towards the bottom. I'm going to show you the importance of actually doing something like this. Level up. I can't do that twice. Fantastic.
Onward.
All right. So the advantage of doing this, and we'll do it with the first wave here. Actually, yeah, we'll do it with the first wave. So this camp here, you pull it 15 seconds to the minute, and you pull them down here. And this will come in time with the creep camp here. You'll also notice you'll have to get back up in the high ground. If you lose vision of these guys, then your creep wave won't maintain the aggro. And because of this, you're like, well, okay, this is not the best of news. Will you stop attacking, Dro? She's such an aggressive woman. All right, yeah, so you've got to keep the vision of it or else the creep wave won't take the aggro and they'll just head down towards this tier 1 tower. Now, this is the downside. Your creep wave, sure, it's killing off these creeps. You're going to get the money from that if you get the last hits in as well as the experience, but your tower will soak up the damage. So when you do this pull, and this is the most standard pull you'll do. This is the basic of all basic pulls. If you want to start with the first set of pulling, if everyone ever says, pull the creep wave, damn it, this is the pull they're referring to. You must have another hero. This is a 2-hero job generally if the creep wave is balanced. And the main reason why is the creep wave will push through, siege creep there, and look how much damage your tower's just taken. That's never a good thing. But now your creep wave will push through and it's got a creep wave and a half. So now it's going to counter push. So as far as me pulling right now, this has actually helped out my opposition. Because they've done damage to my tier 1 tower, and the creep wave is now manageable for this hero who is running the long lane on the bottom for the Dire. Creep wave pulls in, and they're going to get all that experience. And that's a lot of experience. Sure, you might damage the tower, but this early on in the game, they'll just pull the creep wave back past the tower, and then just soak up that experience. And that's a kind of a bit of a pain in the ass. So it's all about your right timing, and you can actually get away with it by... This creep camp actually won't have respawned because I was in too close. This little box is a pain in the ass. Complete pain in the ass. It's actually around that area. If anything is in, well, actually it's not. It kind of has a little bit more of a circular kind of growth around the side. And if you try and pull the creep camp out the side, you've got to get them past this point here, I believe it is, if you want that creep camp to respawn. So you can pull in multiple directions, wherever you want to take the aggro. But what you can do, and this will avoid it, is what I showed you before with the double pulling. Double pull this creep camp. So you're going to pull it on the minute. It means you do have to waste like an extra minute worth of a creep camp. But because you do this, if you have bigger creeps as well, you'll actually demolish your entire creep wave. So you won't have a couple of stragglers get through like a range creep as well as a melee creep, because that's going to give momentum towards your bottom lane. So what you do is you take out the entire creep wave, and that's an entire creep wave worth of experience, which is then denied. The opposition doesn't get that experience unless they come in here and just try and screw you up a little bit. But even then, that's risky for them to do so. So the pulling job of a support hero on the bottom lane, so crucial when it comes to these moments. So you try and get that right. So you remember your creep camps, you got your normal ones around here. You can also do a nice little job, which is a double pull, and it requires you to take out just one of the trees here. And if you, this is another way of doing it. If you don't want to have to like double stack your creep camp, you can do what's called a double pull. So you do the normal pull, you pull these guys up to this area, take out this tree, and when the last creep here is going to die, then you pull this camp down. And then the aggro is followed through. So the creep wave which you have around here will follow through and take the aggro, and you'll be able to get both these camps. It's a faster way of farming, and you'll still take out about the same amount of creeps as in your own wave, but you can do it in a lot faster rate. The only downside to this, however, is your creep wave is a pretty long way up, and then it'll instantly just walk up this way, and then into the tower. So that means experience still manages to reach there if you don't get all your creeps denied. But you can just try and focus that and control that yourself. You can control their life points, get them below 33%, just start right-clicking them down. All right, so next thing I want to actually say, and this is going to go back to what I missed out beforehand, was runes. So I already talked about the jungle. Let's talk about our runes. And so runes is something which will spawn up. Do we have one on the bottom lane? No, we do not. Okay, we're going to head up towards the top. All right, so the runes will spawn, as I said, on a 0-minute mark, and then every 2 minutes after that point. So they spawn longer than the creep waves. Creep camp will spawn every minute. I get another level. Woot! Yeah, so runes will spawn. There are 4 types of runes. One is called Invisible Rune. This will obviously send you invisible.
My sentiments as well.
Pretty simple, that one. Second one is a double damage rune. A double damage rune will give you exactly what it says, double the damage. Third one is a haste rune. So a haste rune will basically give you max movement speed. Anywhere you want to run, you go nuts. Great way of initiating and following and chasing down heroes. The fourth rune is a regeneration rune. Now, originally with the regeneration runes, when they had those, let me just pick this up so we might see, we might get another rune. When you have a regeneration rune, originally when you got a regeneration rune, it would last the entire duration. It wouldn't stop until you get attacked. Now, until you get attacked is still present, but there was a change that happened about, I think it was 1.5 years ago to almost 2 years ago now. I just realized there's 5 runes too, not 4. My bad. Good to see I can count today. Yeah, because the 5th one just appeared right there just to mock me for saying that. It would have come down eventually. But yes, regeneration rune will last for a certain period of time, and then it would cancel out. Or when you get attacked. In this case, if you max your health and max your mana, the regeneration rune will stop having its effect. So regeneration rune at 0-minute mark is the most useless rune you could ever pick up in your life. The 5th rune is the illusion rune. And my apologies, I know guys in the chat comments are going to be going, no, such a noob. Yeah, it happens. 5th is the illusion rune. Creates 2 of yourself. So friends all around. These are all like separate units. They have their own little timers, as you can see by the little green circle on the side. And you can control them as you would yourself. Now, this is actually a fun rune to have because you can screw with your enemies so easily with this. Most of the time, people will go, oh, I got 2 illusions, I'll group them together, and then just say, run this direction. But if you want to screw with your opponent, you do this.
To battle.
Illusion and a real one. And then you can send your other illusion, and it can just be a solo in a lane. So this is a great way of masking your presence around the map. So people go, oh, Drow Ranger, still in middle lane. You can see him microing up a little bit. Probably not the best thing to actually try and right-click, but hey, it can happen. Because you notice the damage of the illusions is a lot lower.
Way ahead of you.
It's basically, it's an illusion. It can't deal the same amount of damage. So because of that, that's the way you can generally find them out. They'll also take more damage than the original. This is just something which you've got to go, well, okay, how can I master the ability, the fact, like, which one's the real one? And you can do that. But this is the whole thing of, is that the real set, is that not? Fun illusion rune, but that's all 5 of the runes. One thing also which I want to comment on, I know a lot of League of Legends people as well, actually part of the original question was about runes, and that came out from Akatusen, I believe, was the guy who actually asked this question. I apologize if I say your name wrong, it happens a lot. Yeah, so, you guys have a wonderful thing called a buff. Red buff, blue buff, fantastic. That's the way League of Legends runs. In Join Dota, that buff isn't there because you have the runes. So because you have the runes, the buff doesn't need to exist. So it makes life pretty simple. Like, you know what all 5 are, and they're available for both teams. So obviously these are contention points. These allow you an extra advantage when it comes, but it's not an advantage which will stick with you forever. It's this quick burst kind of thing. It creates openings when normally there wouldn't be one, as opposed to a buff which will allow you to regenerate mana fast, regenerate health fast, whatever. That kind of stuff gives you momentum. So it's a different way of trying to run jungles. It's finding openings in lanes, either through pulling on the bottom lane here and try and bring the creative in close, or you can use it to, well, once you get the runes, you can actually combine the 2 of them. Creep wave's going to push up, and that's maybe what you want, so then the haste rune person can then dive back past the tower. Things like this. You've got to try and combine these different elements, which give you opportunities where normally there wouldn't be one in the world of Dota. Okay, we're running really, really late on time, and my apologies for this one. We're going to look at a tri-lane. So, let's head ourselves down towards the bottom lane. Dro can take a sweet ass time to run down here. I'm actually about to lose that tower. Fantastic. By the way, for why I just click that, and fortification buttons down the bottom right-hand corner. So every 5 minutes you can have your towers have max armor. So they're basically invulnerable. Tri-lanes. Now, there are multiple ways you can run tri-lanes. Sometimes you can use a jungling hero, and it combines with a dual lane. So if you have 2 heroes in a lane, you generally have one hero who's the one who's getting all the farm. In this case, it could be Dro Ranger, and the other hero who is the harasser. Now, the harasser's job, let me just grab up one of the best ones ever. So we're going to create a hero. And give me Venomancer. Welcome to, in my mind, the best harasser in the game. Now, this dual lane will work up actually pretty nicely. Between the 2 of them, they have a double slow. So the first ability is the Gale, second one is the Poison Sting. You get 2 on that, your harassment central. Dro Ranger has cold arrows, or frost arrows now. So 11% movement speed drop, which is a lot when you combine it with a Venomous Gale, which is a slower 50%. So movement speed, 50%, and basically even a Windrunner would walk on the spot. That is the power of this lane. Now this is a dual lane, and then you would combine it with somebody like Enigma. Okay, that should have actually worked, unless I spelled that incorrectly. There we go, there's Enigma. For some reason he got himself caught inside the trees. Fantastic, let's get rid of those with Midnight Pulse. I love it, it also gives them their initial items. Okay, so this is Enigma. Now the reason why Enigma would work with this is because he is a jungler. He has this wonderful ability called Conversions, and he can convert any lower ranked unit, can't get the big boys, but it can convert any lower ranked unit into a conversion. So because of this, he can sit inside the jungle and can level up pretty easily. But what makes him great when it comes to supporting a lane like this is his Malefice. Now, most people, when you go Enigma, do not go second level on demonic conversions on level 3. That's not the way you should really build Enigma. You want to have him as an aggressive person when you're running a lane like this. You want to get your second level as Malefice, and the main reason for this is your stun duration remains the same. There is no way you can change that. What is the important thing is not even the damage, it's the amount of times you stun. So on the second level, you get 2 instances. You do have a little bit more damage when you go up to level 3, but you don't gain any more instances until level 4, at which point you get 3 separate stuns. So stun duration of 1 second, then another, and then another. And while that happens, Drone Ranger and Venomancer, they can keep right-clicking, they can keep the Frost going, they can hit the Gale a lot easier as well, and that's why this bottom lane, tri-lane, can work out pretty nicely. Now, let's actually think about a different tri-lane. We're going to pull Dro out, and let's remove out the jungle concept.
Your middle tower is under attack.
And we're going to go to a concept which is actually something which Mr. Alex Zuzu asked me this question. What is a tri-lane without a carry? Now he's using heroes like, and we're going to create him up right now, Sven as an example. Alright, so you got Sven in here. So you're going, awesome. I got a good tanky kind of hero. How about another one? Let's add in, I'm going to add in Lion just for craps and giggles.
Your top tower is under attack.
So here is Lion. Now look at these 3 guys. We're gonna find a poor little neutral creep over here on the side, which is now going to be the recipient of all the damage which these guys can do. So we're going to creep camp here for a minute. Sit in the side. Okay, so this is what happens when you have no real, what is classed as a hard carry in your lineup in a tri-lane. The main reason of these lanes is to maintain dominance over the lane. This comes through aggression of abilities. So with Sven, you got the Storm. You got the Storm Hammer, and what works really nicely with Sven for tri-lanes is also the fact that on level 2, he can give a War Cry. So War Cry to the area, bonus armor, bonus movement speed, which means you can chase, and you can also live through that chase, which is a fantastic ability when you got lineups like this. And then you can have heroes like Lion, Earth Spike, level 1. Second level, you can have a Hex as well. Awesome, fantastic. What more do you need? You've got 2 disables at level 2. And then you've got Venomancer, who has Gale, and then you can go Poison Sting as well. So Harassment Central, Stun and Disable Central, AoE stun, as well as the ability to chase and tank up, because he is like 587 points, 511. But you also got to remember, he's only level 1 as well, so he hasn't gone up in the levels. So with this combination, let's just say this poor little camp is a hero. It's kind of going to work out pretty nicely for them. So we go first stun, secondary stun, and then you've also got the Gale as well. And the Gale will pop off in the middle of all that. And you see how much damage this creep wave just takes. But if you put all of that into one hero, that hero will not be able to escape. And that is the power of running a tri-lane without a proper carry, because, well, you don't need to. These guys are all about the mid-game strat, and it's the reason why these guys work so well as a tri-lane is because most teams won't care about late game. Controlling the lane early on is actually more important than winning late game. If you don't control your lanes early on, then your late game is, you're not even going to get to it. You're going to lose tier 1s, you're going to lose tier 2s. If you've ever seen Absolute Legends play, they will complete a game generally in the space of 20 to 25 minutes. So quick games, fast games, and that's just the strats they run with. So that's something you got to think about when you try and assemble your lanes. What power do I want out of this lane? And then what happens with the rest of them? Do I have a solo who just live here in the mid lane as well as on the top lane? When do these guys start ganking up? Do they leave Venomancer on the bottom lane? So Ven and Lion can roam, and that's also the cool thing. You start off with a tri-lane without a proper carry. You don't have to keep one of those guys down there forever. It's not like Anti-Mage must remain on bottom lane to attract that farm. How does it work? These two can go off on a hunting spree. Grab a couple of Smoke of Deceits. You got 2 stuns, Hex as well as good burst damage. And Venomancer can get levels. He'll get levels up in the Plague Wards. And then he can hold on to the towers, because these Plague Wars create so many issues for any hero that wants to push. So because of this, you have more dynamicness in your lineup. It also means you got a couple of extra holes once you hit the mid-game and late game if this lane does not pay off. But the reason why the lane should always pay off is because you have these killer combos. So you look to try and create big combos on the tri-lanes, and then the rest of your lanes will take care of themselves, be the mini solos you want. So Queen of Pain, Puck, Windrunner, anyone who can generally have an escape mechanism or something along those lines to get out of there can run on those side lanes. And if you do have trouble on those other lanes, that's when you rotate these 2 heroes out of the bot lane to have a bit of a run. So that's the whole concept of a tri-lane without a carry. Some tri-lanes, they can go with a carry, and all it's just meant to do is just push and be powerful. Generally, though, you won't see that. Unless Tri-Lane's going up against Tri-Lane, it's a waste of experience. Because you could be running a jungle hero. You could be, like, you're splitting the XP 3 ways with a hard carry, and that doesn't help anybody. Because in that point, your hard carry is sitting there going, well, I don't have my levels, I don't have my abilities, sure, I've got my farm, but without my levels, like, I can't make the most of my farm. And that's the reason why we generally see it phased out, and Tri-Lanes aren't really the main purpose that everybody loves to see these days, and it's why they try and offset it either with a jungler or by running dual lanes. So the dual lane, like we talked about beforehand, and that way when you have a hero on the top lane, you can have like a Windrunner ES combo if you want to go classic kind of style, but you can just look at heroes that will survive as 2. So you have the stuns, you got your backup, you have heroes like Mirana, which can also, and that's also another option too. Like if you want to have heroes which can rotate out, that's when you start looking towards semi-carries. That's an option for you. Sorry, I just can't help it. I've got a Storm Bolt to throw. I've got to throw it. Except Harold's going to die if I leave him up there. All right, so things about it with a semi-carry, not a hard carry, you can still have the initiation. So heroes like Mirana, who can chain off with an arrow, and this is something also which I'm going to refer to AL again because I actually really enjoy their drafting style. And I've also just rather got to pull these guys back, or else we will have spilt blood of heroes on the floor. AL will run a tri-lane on the top lane. And this will force the opposition to set a tri-lane against them, or a dual lane. But because they run the semi-carry, so a hero like Mirana, who can deal a crap load of damage if she has a good start and good items, she's going to get the levels anyway because they're going to look to get the kills on that top lane. It's not like the bottom lane where it's more a defensive kind of thing. Like this bottom lane solo hero will just sit back at the tier 1 tower and go do. You're not getting kills, you're not getting an extra bonus from being here. But on the top lane, you can be aggressive, you can go inside the jungles, you can look for the guy who's going to be pulling on the creep camp over here. Maybe someone's going to be sneaky and trying to farm up this little camp as well. And with that tri-lane, you can look around, you can initiate. But when you want to look at a tri-lane, you want to have stuns, disables, or something that allows you to shut down a whole bunch of heroes, or just pound the living daylights out of one of those heroes. So with that combo, that is basically the success of a great tri-lane is to have that combo. So if you achieve that, congratulations. You will have done amazing, wonderful things in the world of Dota 2. And that is your tri-lane, and that's also the end of this week. Next week, I have something planned for you. I want to try and take a little bit more time to not produce this one, but at least try and give a little bit more structure to this, because we're going to look at basically where Dota came from. A lot of people have done this beforehand, but really, a lot of them also have their own bias towards it. So I'm going to try and keep it as unbiased as possible because people are like, Pendragon to the end! Or it's like, Yul is so the best, man. He came up with the original concept. Who owns the word Dota? Ice Rock is a god! All this kind of stuff. And it's just like, well, you know what? Let's look at it from a factual point of view. We'll go through it bit by bit, and we'll see what the entire world of Dota, or I should say things before that, Aeon of Strife, and now into the world of so many different types of Dota genre games, how they all end up, how it all came to be. That's going to be for next week. Hopefully you enjoyed this week and learned a little bit as well. As always, please leave your comments, questions, anything in the section below, and like this video! Oh, I'm really not getting used to that on YouTube. It just feels weird. Yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, guys. This is the Razer Academy videos. Please check out all the other ones as well over at the Razer Academy. Exactly where you should find this video, or on the Cult of Razer channel on YouTube. It is Razer's channel, so definitely check that out. So thanks, guys. We'll see you in, well, I'm going to see you in 2 weeks' time, but you'll have your special video in 1 week's time. We'll catch you then.